Okay, we are live. So I went to the Larry Ray trial again today, and I thought it would be more fun to invite my good friend, my favorite guest, William Ramsey, on to talk to me about just the trial and what went on. Welcome, William Ramsey.
Thank you. It's great to be with you again. So what happened? How was it? It was short, right?
Again, I may die before the end of this trial, way it's going. So we had an hour of testimony. This is the other star witness, Claudia Drury, and she's giving devastating testimony. But because Larry Ray did all the same things with these kids, I think it's getting maybe a little repetitive for the jury. And this is the first day where I saw the jury kind of look a little bored. And so there was a big meeting of all the lawyers in chambers with the judge, and the jury, and they came back missing one juror and said, "I'm sorry, we're going to have to end for the day." So this is the new schedule. So because of Larry Ray's seizure, so for those that don't know, Larry Ray said he had a seizure last week before trial started, always out of the presence of the jury. Then before lunch, he had another health episode, and that ended it. And then we were dark so that's 2.5 days, no court. And so finally we get going again on Friday with it, and it was a new schedule was announced. So instead of going from 9:30 to 4, we're going from 9. Supposedly we were supposed to go from 9 to 4:30 today. And on Fridays we go from 9 to 1. And today it was announced we're going to go from 9:30 to 4. But anyway, we're trying to catch up with time, and this is not helping. I mean, this could we still don't know if they're going to put on a defense.
Right. It's crazy. I mean, how long has the prosecution been in trial now? How many days have they done? It's been last week, right? So yeah. It's been the 6th day?
Yeah, I would think so. I hope so. I hope I'm right. Yeah, I thought it started like Monday. Thursday of the week before last, I thought, right? Am I crazy?
And then 2 days off. I don't know. I don't remember when it exactly
started. That's right. It's kind of messed up because of that long period of time. It's about a week of trial altogether, but much longer with all these delays. And Larry Ray, one of the main themes of this trial is Larry Ray's paranoia that he was being poisoned, and he convinced his devotees, for lack of a better word, that they poisoned him and his family, and they believed it. They believed they had just forgotten this memory. And they wrote these confessions. So he already has this kind of hypochondriacal history of shenanigans and theatrics, and basically a fraud. So I don't think there's a person in that courtroom that believes Larry Ray had a health episode. And I'm sorry if he did, but talk about the boy that cried wolf, right?
Something tells me that it's just another of his manipulations, right? If he's into all that manipulating type thing, this is just him trying to now manipulate the court, manipulate his way out. So I don't know.
It was right after very devastating testimony where we heard that he made the 2 of these kids wear diapers, and we saw this video of him and one of the Sarah Lawrence devotees, Santos Rosario, who was the first witness, the star witness. He was so enthusiastic about Larry Ray, he got his 2 sisters involved. And one of them, when Larry Ray was arrested, he was found with Isabella Pollock, who's coming to trial in July, and Rosario's sister, Felicia, who he was calling both of them his wives. So we saw this footage of him really pushing around, manhandling, and what I consider abusive behavior towards Felicia. And she was looking very sick and weak and ill, and he liked to starve these women. I mean, he's so close to Ranieri. I've been calling him his spiritual brother, but I'm not sure if that's even fair, because I don't think these 2 have a spirit or a soul. It's so crazy similar to NXIVM, and you really wonder if they all these cult leaders go to school for being a cult leader, sleep deprivation.
They have to learn it somewhere. They have to have found it somewhere. There must be a handbook or a guidebook or something. That's what we talked about last time, is that they're reading from the same script or applying the same techniques, goes back. But did you find anything change from last week to today? To Monday?
Just that, you always hear from lawyers that it's very important that a lawyer streamline his or her case. And in this is the first time where I've really seen where that's true. So here we have Claudia Drew. We heard that she prostituted herself at Larry Ray's directions. So what Larry Ray did, just for those who are just coming in, is it's a very street tactic, in my opinion, which he would accuse you of doing some kind of slight towards him, scratching his pants, messing up his clothes purposefully, and he liked to use the word sabotage. And of course, just like Raniere, he introduced himself as the most honest, ethical person in the world, and he demanded that from his devotees. So he gets a culture of confession. He taped everything, videotaped and audio taped, and they found tons of phones in his home when the FBI busted him. So he would create these imaginary slights and demand paybacks. And so the way Claudia Drury made it up to him was by prostituting herself to the tune of $2.5 million she handed over to him. And it's just really sad to see her. She looks very young. She has a very babyish face and vulnerable. I think it's really also reminded me of the vulnerability of youth. So what we heard about today was very similar to Santos Rosario's testimony of going down to North Carolina. I got a deeper sense of what they were doing because I did landscaping in my time. And I was like, oh, they're landscaping. And then you see what they're doing. And they're like basically working on a construction site for Larry.
Right, it's like work camp. Right. It's like the Gulag work camp. Right. They're to get out there and continue to work it with 800 calories or whatever. But It is interesting when you keep using that word ethics. That's another term that all these guys love to apply to their people. And that goes, I think there's even a book in Scientology called like something Hubbard wrote about ethics. So he's always applying Scientology ethics to people. So these guys, they got to, I've asked people
like Charles Dietrich, Synanon, the Synanon abusive school. I don't know if you could, there's no schooling going on, but troubled teen industry, all those things are just so similar, from making them wear diapers and that kind of humiliating punishment to work, the starving. And they only seem to be interested in starving women, these men, not the men. They seem to be able to eat all the carbs they want. That's what I've heard so far. And that's what we heard, is she's doing this major construction, is what I'd call it. And then he would say, oh no, you sabotaged me on purpose, redo it on very low calories. And sometimes they would be redoing this landscaping till 3 and 4 in the morning.
Oh, really? So it was 3 and 4. Oh yeah, it's definitely.
So they were on little sleep, and they were allowed no carbs. And then the other thing he was doing in the testimony that really touched me today was when Claudia Drury started talking about Felicia, who went to Harvard, Harvard-educated doctor. And she said, this is the first time when I saw her down there acting completely helpless and childlike. And he had a obsession with telling these devotees that they were going to prison, very much like what Tony Natale was told by Keith Raniere, almost the same exact line, which is like, the next time I see you, you'll be in an orange jumpsuit, which is like, and he told the same thing. And he's told Felicia that she had to turn herself into the police and go to prison. And that was her only way of coming clean. And he even bought her a final meal of milkshakes and fries and hamburgers. And right before, as they're and this is so interesting. This is like those details in these cases that are so perfect. He didn't drive. She drove herself to the police station with him as the passenger. And right as she's in front of the police station, suddenly she has a breakthrough and she doesn't need to go anymore. But we heard a lot of that. And then the really upsetting testimony is what he did to Dan Levin, which was the gay, or he was described as questioning his sexuality. And he was made to put on a dress and swallow one of Isabel Pollock's giant dildos. And Claudia Drury described that picture. And she said he just looked really scared and panicked. And she was, and that's the first time you heard, it was interesting, the first time you heard her voice break in the whole trial. So it's interesting that she can't have those same feelings about herself. She seems maybe even a little removed looking at herself when she's testifying about what she did. But when she's testifying about the others, that's when she's starting to get emotional. Interesting.
Really crazy. It's worse, gets worse and worse, doesn't it? It's unfolding. Does the prosecution indicate how much longer that they want to conduct their side?
I don't know. I hope they cut it shorter, because we heard, for example, we heard about a device he made, and this is what I remember is Santos Rosario saying that this device was made out of cellophane, and he wrapped it around Dan Levin's testicles, and during an interrogation pulled on it as punishment. And we heard her describe it as tinfoil. And I thought, and the defense was, this is a great defense team. And the person next to me who sat through some of the NXIVM trial and some of this trial said, what did Claire Bronfman spend her money on? $13 million, and she didn't get this kind of lawyering. They are excellent. I mean, this is probably one of the best trials I've covered. Sad that there's not many people there, but so we heard her. So I'm wondering if they're going to so we heard her describe it as tinfoil. So, or is the defense going to jump over that? I don't know. We'll find out. And I can't see them putting on a defense, except if they're going to resurrect Elizabeth Loftus. And that's the only thing I think they can think of.
That's what they said, right? The girl's name is there. When I forgot it, it's they have this lawyer, right? It's oh god,
Glasshouse. Are you talking?
Glasshauser?
Yeah, Glasshauser.
Allegra Glasshauser.
She's excellent. There, and Kelly is also on that team. I'm sorry, I don't remember his first name right now. He's fantastic. They're a fantastic team. The government is fantastic. This is top trial lawyer and going on both sides. And I think he's toast. I think he acts like a pimp. I mean, I hope some of the juries will understand this is being called a criminal enterprise. The word cult doesn't really have any significance legally. I think that what they're going to try to prove in this is that they were all sort of under a mass delusion, which is partially true. And how Sarah Lawrence, they have two students having nervous breakdowns with complaining about the same things, thoughts of killing their parents, thoughts of killing other students that are all in the same Slotum 9 group. Two of them, one leaves forever, never comes back. The other comes back and says Larry Ray was her hero. Larry Ray helped her craft this email saying, let me back in, Sarah Lawrence Dean. Larry Ray was my savior and hero. I'm so messed up, but let me back in. And we know that Nancy Franklin was told. How they are still on with this facade that they didn't know is beyond me. And I think also there's kind of like a larger theme, which is, and I think it's a big tension in America right now, which is between personal freedom, this kind of worship of personal freedom, and those of us who are saying, hey, safety is really important. You can't have personal freedom if you're dead or you're hurting other people. So, or you're being hurt. There's no personal freedom in that. So especially, yeah, but this guy, I would say a jury or a juror would think that he's clearly controlling them with threats of negative outcomes, right? Either violence, criminal, prosecution, something. So you can't.
they're not totally free if they're in a state of fear and they're being persecuted. So I don't know. There's definitely a threshold there in my mind.
Yeah. So,
and one of the things that I learned is that with that beatdown that Tommaso gave to Larry Ray was because Larry testified against him in court. So that's why he was pissed off. So we talked about that last time, if you remember that video. I wonder if they'll call T. Tommaso. Probably not. He's probably not going to be called.
I don't think so. Yeah, I hope not, because the trial does not need to be any longer. I think they could lose their case the longer they go, because this is the defense. We saw with the objections today. This is a defense that will jump on, and I think they're going to bring up all these devotees' mental health history and try to rip them apart. But I don't know how successful that's going to be in this day and age.
Do you know if any of the kind of victims, devotees, had pre-existing mental health things, or did Larry Ray bring it on to them?
Santos Rosario did.
Okay.
Suffered with depression, but this is a whole nother level of craziness. Writing multiple. What Larry Ray did was say you have to be really honest with your teacher, who was also Talia Ray's teacher, which is Larry Ray's daughter, and why she's not being prosecuted. And what came up today was that one witness, we don't know who, is going to get immunity, and it's going to be done, I believe, outside of the presence of the jury. That was discussed today. So he talked about, but this is so this teacher's getting all these emails because Larry Ray keeps saying send more emails, be more honest, really get it all out there, and then you can feel good about yourself. And that's how he got reported to the administration from that. I mean, I think that this idea of personal freedom comes from the idea that everybody's alike and we're all human, but there are predators, and they are so different. Their psychology is so different and so dangerous. This guy people are calling him Manson 2.0 or 3.0 or whatever you want to call it. And this is he doesn't look young. He would stick out on a Sarah Lawrence campus.
He's 62 now. It started when he was 52. Like, he is old and probably still bald and
If you were like a younger looking guy, maybe you could say he was some kind of master's student. You could that they didn't notice, but this is ridiculous. I mean, I'm so angry about how the way the college handled this. I really think they should just close their doors before someone else gets hurt. Seriously.
Have you heard anything surrounding him or this case of disappearances, kind of like Raniere? I remember that girl was in Alaska who went boating.
Right, Kristen Snyder, yeah.
There were a couple of them, and there's tons in Scientology. There's tons of strange deaths, and even the son of L. Ron Hubbard died suspiciously. Do you hear of anything like that, like people disappearing? Or
not yet.
Familiar with that. Yeah.
Not yet. I didn't read a lot before this trial, and I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying just going and learning the information I learn at trial, and maybe afterwards I have Dan Levin's book, and the Hulu documentary is going to come out after the trial, and I'll watch that. But I'm kind of enjoying just going in and not knowing everything. I think it's kind of more interesting that way. Does anybody have any questions or anything? Hold on, let's see.
I'll be interested to see how the defense handles it. I'll see. Like, I don't know how they're going to discount these first-person accounts as some kind of false memory or a fantastical narrative or whatever they're saying, mass delusion formation or something.
Someone's asking if it's a syndicate activity. Is that about this, or is that something else? I don't know. Are they asking if he's connected to other people? It's kind of hard to know. I think the more interesting question would be why these cults go on, and like Scientology is still going on. We know how abusive they are. They haven't been shut down. Why? I think again, it comes to freedom, and Americans love freedom and religious freedom. And
but in other countries, it's very different. I don't know. Yeah, other countries for Scientology, they have been deemed pernicious organization. I think in Germany,
that's right.
They've had some very serious kind of state sanction because of their history. Like, hey, you can't mess around with people's brains like that. You're right, though. It's not. Different jurisdictions, different countries treat things differently. U.S. for some reason seems to be kind of soft.
Yeah, and the judge is fantastic, and he's Doug Lyman. I've already said this, but for the Swingers brother, and Doug Lyman has been in court sitting in front of me, which I think is kind of sweet, watching his brother's trial.
It is interesting that there's no RICO kind of violation here or anything. Have you heard of anybody trying to sue Larry Ray civilly?
No, and I'm wondering why these parents don't sue Sarah Lawrence. Not to mention the psychiatric facilities who didn't step in. It's failure all along the way. And what's so frustrating is this started at Sarah Lawrence. If Sarah Lawrence put an end to this in 2012, it wouldn't have gone on for a decade. Or a little less than a decade, 8 years, It's too long.
Right. Why do you think they didn't get in? Probably they didn't know the totality of it.
To me, it's emblematic of this administration that's rooming boys who identify as girls with girls, and just throwing up their hands at reality and safety. I just think I've heard for a while from people that it's an out of control, dangerous campus. And I've been telling people, we've talked, I say, don't send your kids there. I was a tour guide. I was I thought I got at the time a really good education, and I still use the skills I learned there with this work, but I wouldn't suggest anybody send their kid there. And my mom reminded me that my brother at Bard, which is a very similar college, she was visiting him at Bard, and he said to my mom, "Hey mom, you got to keep the window locked. There's a rapist running around campus." Wow. So some of these colleges,
I think a lot of them cover up a lot of the dangers too. So I think that that's not uncommon. I think their interest is to keep a lid on that. But it seems like there should be a general rule, students only in the dorms. Like, I don't know how they got away, or he got away with staying in the dorm.
But not only did they do nothing, but when the story was broken by an alumnus, Ezra Marcus, they attacked him and said his article was so inaccurate.
Right.
So, I don't know. I'm going to try to keep it short. If nobody has any, do you have anything else that you want to?
I'm really just curious as how it's going to play out, how long the prosecution really intends. Sometimes you hear in some of these cases, like, Your Honor, we're going to be done Friday. We're going to be done. We're wrapping up in a couple of days. Have you heard anything like that? Like a specific wrap-up date?
No, and the defense hasn't shown their hand. I think this is going to go on, and I'm not sure if we've seen the last of Larry Ray's shenanigans. Did you see the picture New York Post used? I wish I had uploaded it. But I'll put it in my Facebook group for those.
Is it on the cover? Did you make the cover?
It was just a tweet I saw, and it's of him being put into the back of the ambulance, and he looks possessed. I mean, he looks like a demon. And if that's play, I don't know. He's being put in the back of an ambulance with an oxygen mask on, and his eyes are kind of rolling in the back of his head. It's really like the essence of him, demon.
Well, he does have kind of a demonic look. Did you read the New York piece on it called Larry's Spell by Ezra Marcus and James D. Walsh?
He's done a fantastic job, and his writing partner John has been in court every day. I talked to him in the elevator, and he felt like we were just talking about Larry Ray's. He feels I don't want to say, feels that this was a stunt. That this was like everybody.
He's calling us stuff. This guy, we talked to New York Patriot. He's wondering if he had any kind of cult background or something. This guy, in my opinion, let me see if I can share the screen. I might be able to. Here he is. I think so. Can you share that?
Let me see. Yeah. Oh, you got it. Okay. Yeah. Great. Yeah. What do I do? Just add it to the.
I think just add it.
Add it to the stream.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you for finding me that. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of there's 50 years of history with this guy that's very strange, but this is very strange to me. He's definitely acting, I would say.
I mean,
He's
look at
definitely
that.
playing it up. Usually they just like close their eyes and act like they're, gone, but he is.
Well,
That's
sorry.
very strange. It's okay.
Well, remove. All right, that's good. All right.
Yeah, but
so
no, this is a fascinating case.
Thank you for coming on and talking to me about it on such short notice. I really appreciate it.
No worries. And, thanks for having me.
All right, thanks. All right, have a great week, guys.
You too. Cheers. We done?